project versus program versus portfolio managers. What's the difference, and how do you know which role you need? You're probably wondering why me talking to you, right? So allow me to humbly share a bit more. I bring over 2 decades of what I like to call delivery experience to Insight Global. I started my professional career as a software trainer, and from there moved into business analysis, all levels of that work. Soon, project, program, and portfolio management naturally followed. I've worked primarily in IT at publicly traded, Atlanta headquartered companies you may be familiar with, and then managed portfolios for both marketing and IT at a leading international hotel chain you might also know. Just over 2 years ago, I joined Insight Global and have endeavored to build out a portfolio management office, starting at our corporate office in IT. Trying to roll out a framework organically requires a dedicated, well-experienced team of delivery experts, and I am fortunate to have such a team. So, Evan and I thought it would be a great idea to share some of my personal learnings with you all. Today, we're going to cover 4 of the most common roles you'd expect to find in supporting a portfolio manager in delivering an annual, strategically aligned roadmap. We'll explore not only professional skills, but also the secret sauce we've found to be successful at Insight Global. Then, we'll discuss what roles typically support what kind of delivery style. One friendly reminder for you all: each organization will have its own preferences, its own level of software and/or project delivery, its own roles and responsibilities. So what we are sharing today is what we've experienced here at Insight Global. And just like Evan said, we'll also leave time for Q&A at the end. So please write down your questions so that you don't forget to ask them at the end. Hint, hint. Now that we know what we're covering, let's get into typical project delivery roles, namely the project coordinator, project manager, program manager, and the role I get to serve today, portfolio manager. You'll sometimes see this referred to as PMO. If you have experience staffing for and/or adding project program managers to your delivery teams, you're probably familiar with PMI.org. If you are not, since 1969, PMI has been the leading authority in project management, committed to advancing the project management profession to positively impact project success. Per its website, PMI.org empowers its professionals to excel in project management practices through its global community, knowledge sharing, and best-in-class certifications. For example, you may be familiar with CAPM or PMP certifications. So let's take a look-see at what PMI says about each of these roles. Project coordinator. Look at the key words here: organizes, manages, and daily tasks. Typical project coordinators are either people new to the corporate workforce and/or are people who started in an entry-level role and project management intrigues them. People in this role are organized, they tend to be planners, and are detail-oriented. The project manager. Per PMI, these are organized, goal-oriented professionals who use passion. Ooh, I love that, because it's so true. Project managers understand that they are responsible for leading the delivery of a discrete effort of work, and they do so by using specific knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value within an agreed to, finite start and end date. The program manager is responsible for planning and governance and for overseeing the successful delivery of a program's output or product. Think of a program as a group of projects that, when fully delivered, will stand up something. For example, a program could be delivering a new website to your company, inclusive of how to maintain the website after launch, think support, content, and what roles or responsibilities your company needs to discover, design, develop, test, deliver, and maintain that website. All of these discrete efforts, projects, when fully delivered, will mean that the program is fully delivered. So your program manager is the super project manager who will ensure that each project's project manager has the support needed to remove roadblocks, mitigate risks, and deliver their project successfully. Finally, the portfolio manager. That's me. No, I am not a financial portfolio planner helping you choose the right stock or mutual fund investments. Instead, those projects we just discussed, the programs, you combine them all together, align them by your company or organization or department's strategic goals, and you have a portfolio. Typically, the portfolio manager is responsible for ensuring resources are adequate to deliver the right work efforts at the right time, for ensuring projects and program spend, think budget, actuals, forecast, aligns with the department's budget. They provide reporting, project, program, and portfolio health, resource allocation, risks issues, etc., so that all levels of resources are informed and united in delivery. And then there's organizational change management, project, program, agile delivery framework, and an approach for intaking new work, otherwise known as demand management. Now that we understand at a high level what each of these titles does, let's look at experience levels. Think of your project coordinator as someone who recently graduated from college. They may not have previously worked in a corporate setting, and you know this person to be organized, maybe a planner, or someone you'd trust to help you organize an event. They may not know if project management is for them, so this role is a great entry-level opportunity to test out project management and delivery. Your project manager, they know they want to manage projects. They majored in this, or they have previously worked in an IT or corporate setting, and they learned that they like to take big asks and break them down into tactical, consumable work efforts. They like to work with teams, they like work done on time, and they like to be busy. So managing 1 to 3 efforts at the same time works. Your program manager, they are the super project managers. They are experienced and focused on ensuring a group of projects oriented toward a common business goal are delivered effectively. Program managers have been project managers for 5 years or more, typically, and their work history should reflect larger scale delivery efforts with co-located teams working in different time zones. And finally, your portfolio manager. As we just discussed, this role can exist across an entire enterprise. And when it does, program managers by functions, departments, or organizations can indirectly report to the PMO. Normally, people with vast project program delivery successes are ideal in this role and have easily greater than 10 years of experience. Okay, so taking all of what we've just previously covered into consideration, I created this grid. Maybe it will help you when thinking through what role you need for what purpose. It may also help you when thinking through how to interview someone, what to look for on their resumes, or what to tell your staffing agency you're looking for. We've got the job titles, the years of experience, certifications, and then I also highlighted what I would call project delivery table stake responsibilities. For example, project managers should know how to manage project program costs. They should plan for resources and roam the risks. That's resolving, owning, accepting, and mitigating for those of you Agile experts on the call. And if you take a look as well, you'll notice that I've called out meeting leadership. You can see the difference here between what a coordinator would do versus project, program, and portfolio manager. And then finally, with the projects that are leading solo, this is not something a typical project coordinator would do, but of course, a table stake for everybody else. Now that we understand the roles which you might need, let's take a look what kind of skills can best be put to use. Remember your ancient Greek philosophy? Even Aristotle knew having a definite, clear, practical idea, well, that's a project. That the way to achieve the goal, the project, was via wisdom. That's a qualified project manager. Money, that's a project budget. Materials, that's a project delivery tool and resources. And methods, that's a project delivery governance, or fancy speak for project delivery ways of working. Let's explore further. Project managers, they aren't just good project managers because they went to school for the trade. It's not because they have approximately 3 or more years of experience project managing. It's not because they maybe have a certification, a CAPM or a PMP, but also it's because they have this innate ability to combine technical skills with soft skills with a special sauce. So if you go to any job board, you'll find the traditional project manager job description includes the technical skills cited here: risk and resource management, cost management, and then the ability to remove blockers so that project delivery teammates can realize their schedule and timeline commitments. These are technical table stakes. But the soft skills, you will know that a project manager is great when others request them by name. And that's because that project manager has these soft skills. They command a room. Said differently, those in attendance to whatever it may be, a daily stand-up, a steering committee meeting, a monthly project readout, those in attendance clearly understand what the project manager is saying, and those attendees are engaged. Great project managers are calm when there's chaos. They proactively plan to avoid chaos, and then they roll up their sleeves to problem solve with their team, asking questions to seek to understand. Finally, there's the special sauce. Excellent project managers take a project delivery team, which may not have worked together previously, and works first to build team camaraderie. Investment in this area helps project managers be seen as a delivery partner. And when a trusted environment is established, delivery teammates are more honest, more open to asking questions, even what others may perceive to be the silly ones, and are more open to taking risks. Putting everything together we've discussed, PMI definitions, years of experience, the grid, and the skills, now it's time to apply it. And based on project type, what kind of project manager do you need? At Insight Global, within our IT portfolio, we have many different project types. Knowing the types helps me build and guide what kind of project program management talent I need. What I'm sharing here may resonate, and if your portfolio differs, I've tried to extract what I believe, based on my work experience, resonates across our shared technology marketplace. For technical projects, think upgrading your Windows servers, moving users from Windows 10 to Windows 11, or upgrading a software code writing tool from one version to another. Here are the skills your project program manager will need. Experience, 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 especially working on IT-led projects or programs. Experience working with different forms of delivery. I'm sure you've heard of Agile, or maybe you've heard of Scrumfall or Waterfall, just to name a few. For non-IT projects, think you're rolling out a new way of working. You're tweaking an existing way of doing business, or you're standing up a new org. Here are the skills your project manager will need. To call out just a few, business analysis. We have seen in our time here that project managers need to be able to ask great questions. And if they understand SIPOC, for those who are not familiar with Lean, that is supplier, input, process, output, and consumer, even better. Your project manager will be uber successful too if they can understand at least foundational organizational change management capabilities, such as stakeholder analysis and comprehensive communication plans and training. Now, if you've got a whopper of a project, program, well, then you need all of the above. So let me share a story with you. Way back in 2005, when I worked for what was then Autotrader.com, we acquired what's now known as Classics on Autotrader. We needed a new organization to support the business line. We wanted a new website to create a forum for classic car owners, which would include not just shopping for cars, but also creating and socializing events. If you're thinking car shows, then you're thinking correctly. This was a whopper of a program. We had one IT program manager and we had one IT program manager. We had multiple project managers under each program manager working on organizational structure projects, where new hires were needed month one before the rest of the program could get underway. Strategic roadmap for year one, designed by the Classics leadership team and managed by, you guessed it, the portfolio manager. And then we had project managers for discovery of, and then design, develop, test, and go live for the Classics Autotrader.com website, which included a forum similar to Facebook groups. The one project actually became 4 based on all of the features we had to deliver in less than 1 year's time. And then we needed a project manager for discovery of, and then implementation of a content curator tool, which allowed for users to log into, upload, and maintain their collector car content on the website. And that's just a handful of what we achieved in year one, and hopefully depicts how project, program, and portfolio managers work in tandem to deliver your company's strategic goals. As promised at the beginning of our event today, we promised to leave you time for Q&A. So Evan, what questions do our astute attendees have for me today?
Thanks, Kristen. And yeah, guys, go ahead and put your questions in the comments, whether that be on LinkedIn or on this Vimeo platform. And to start, we'll go ahead and go with a question that came from my team. So Kristen, what are the most effective ways to upskill an existing employee from, say, a project manager to a program manager?
Ooh, that's a doozy of a question. I love your team. I will tell you that we are going through that right now. We just had resource leaders here who expressed, they were project managers, senior project managers, and they were able to demonstrate their ability to deliver at least 3 projects at the same time. One might have just been starting, one was nearing completion, one was smack dab in the middle. These were large-scale projects that involved a good technology component where we were implementing solutions with vendors and also had a business change component. So being able to see these resources, there were two of them specifically, not only do that work, which demonstrates their ability to manage a program, but also mentor project managers on our team that were newer to our team at the same time, taught me and showed me that we had resources who were ready to move to the next level, which is program management. Because program management says by default, you can manage a group of projects and you are also removing roadblocks for the other project managers, which is a way of people managing the other people. So it was natural for us to be able to move them into that program manager role. So if I had to succinctly answer your question, Evan, without going down a story, I would say we saw them over time demonstrate the core requirements needed of program managers.
Gotcha. This next question kind of goes hand in hand with that, and kind of understanding somebody's capacity, what they've learned in their experience. But how can you judge whether a project manager can take on more than one project at a time, or would you need different project managers for different projects?
Your team comes up with some doozies. I love it. Let me start by saying that one way you know right away is when you assign someone to one project and then you add them into another. It could be a work stream of a project or it could be another one, but they're not in the same phase of their project delivery lifecycle. And you start to see things slipping. So, for example, a status report might be late for one, or a risk wasn't resolved for another, or a resource joined the team and didn't know where to go to find the team repository or how to do timesheet entry. So there are just basics that you start to see where the project manager, where he or she were not ready to take on the work because you start to see, you're juggling. If you think of people juggling balls, you start to see a few balls drop to the floor. It also looks like late to meetings, late status reports, and it also looks like, hey, I need help. And then we'll come and let you know.
Gotcha. Moving into this next one. What are the key ways to identify success for project or program managers? And are there specific metrics or standards that they should meet across the board?
Oh, it's a great question. I will tell you right now that there are at many places where I've worked, there are two forms of, hey, the project is about to close. How did the project manager do? It can come in the form of a project delivery survey. And we have put one together here at Insight Global, but for those of you on this call, Evan can attest, many at Insight Global feel that they're over-surveyed. So we are working on different ways to get the feedback from project delivery teammates. But if you do have a survey, there are certainly measures that you should build into your survey that are metrics that talk about how timely are risks identified and resolved? How effective are the meetings being run and do they achieve their meeting goals? Does this person understand and maintain its schedule or the project schedule or timeline in a reliable, weekly agreed to cadence? Are the status reports delivered to the agreed cadence? So you could certainly have a survey. Another form that we use, especially for projects that scan, well, we've been doing it consistently for 6 months or more. We conduct what is called a retro or a retrospective or a postmortem or a lessons learned or an AAR, it might be the Insight Global way. So if you're familiar with any of those, we also ask a neutral party at Insight Global to conduct those so that the project manager can participate and hear the feedback real time versus it being somebody like me, their boss, running those. And we use those retros to not only help us build out a knowledge repository, but also to take a deep dive and look and evaluation consistently of our project delivery framework, governance, templates, and also how we're landing our project delivery approach across the rest of Insight Global.
Gotcha. And then we'll do one last question. But Kristen, at what point in the process of, I guess, getting something done, should you consider looping in a project manager? Is it from like ideation or from project planning? At what point are we looping those people in?
In the most ideal state, I would prefer that we're looping them in upfront at the beginning. And the way we have that laid out, and obviously each company is different. Some of you might be working off of a very organized strategic roadmap and you're laying your initiatives out by quarter, and 1 quarter in advance, you have an initiation process. At Insight Global, we're not there yet. We're striving toward that. So we do have a demand intake process that we have put in place. And normally, Evan, what we try to do is work with architects and IT and procurement and finance to evaluate ideas that are entered into a portal. And then we assess them basically for their complexity, for the number of teams that might be impacted, for the value that the solution might drive. And when we have figured all of that out, those items that are obviously going to have an organizational wide impact and are cross functional in nature and are things the government needs us to do, for example, regulatory, then those are initiatives we often seek to assign a project manager to. So once we have assessed the idea, we seek leadership approval for when we'd like to start it, and then we assign a project manager. And at that point, it is the project manager working in tandem with the business sponsor and business owner to ready that initiative for kickoff. It is fair to say, just to add, that everything does not work out like that from beginning to end perfectly. So there have been some projects when a project manager is requested, and normally what that looks like is we're 2 months or a month away from go live, and this doesn't seem very organized, and we missed this change management component. Do you have somebody available to get us through to the finish line? And we will obviously do that as needed.
That makes sense. And I would hate to be that person that's looped in the last moment, but utilizing your strengths to get us there and get us across the finish line sounds great. Kristen, I have one more question for you. I know that I said that was going to be our last one, but this one seems so relevant. So with AI disrupting business, have the expectations for project or program managers changed quite a lot over the past couple of months?
Not yet. We have as a team, I'm really glad you asked that question. We have as a team been aware of, obviously, AI. We're starting to implement it and use it in different use cases, as you know. And so I would expect this year for things to play out just a bit differently. Where we see it today, obviously it's being used in the data arena, and we're obviously, I've now said obviously 3 times, Evan. Please feel free to correct me. But also in the service desk arena, it makes sense, right? I have this frequently asked question. This is the best way to solve it. Let AI serve that up to you. Makes complete sense. We are going to, I know, I've seen a draft version of our roadmap, explore AI uses definitely in our operational area and in our data insights and analytics teams, but we haven't seen how it directly impacts the project manager yet. So more to come.
Gotcha. All right, Kristen. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. As always, your expertise are valued, and I wanted to just thank you. But guys, if you have additional questions as we move forward, go ahead and put them in the comments on LinkedIn. And then for anybody that attended, you guys will be getting a recap of the session, a video recording at some point over the next couple of days. But thank you so much. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.